Hey guys, it's Chris from Wex Photo Video, and in this video we're going to be taking a quick look at, I'm just kidding, I don't work at Wex anymore. This is actually the 25th reunion video where we're going to see a load of people from the past, from the Wex Photo Video team, content team, all come back together and have a jolly good time.
Hi guys, I'm Tiffany and I'm the head of content at Wex Photo Video. We decided that we would bring back all of our content creators. This year we hit 100,000 followers on YouTube, which was amazing, and we're incredibly grateful for the fact that you all tune in all the time to watch our videos, even if you don't watch them all. But we're so happy to be able to celebrate all of the people that have not only made that possible, but to celebrate what they've been doing since they left Wex, and all of them have done incredible things. So we wanted to say a big thank you to you for watching this, and a big thank you to all of them who you're going to hear from shortly for everything that they've done in their time at Wex Photo Video and beyond.
I'm Sean Briggs. I used to work on the content team at Wex. These days though, I am now a freelance videographer / video editor.
Hi, so my name's Ben. I started work at Wex, I believe in 2013, I started off there, and I was there in the company for 5 years in total. I started off on the social media kind of content team, and then developed the kind of YouTube channel and video content up until when I left, which was about 5 years ago. Since then, I left Wex to become a producer at a production company called Somersault, and there I've progressed. I'm now head of studio or senior producer at the company.
I joined Wex from Amateur Photographer magazine and Trusted Reviews, and I guess I was hired because I have a very journalistic approach to content creation. So I'm already writing reviews full time. I'm already using different camera systems on a daily basis. Like I said, I was already doing that. I was already a photographer, I was already a filmmaker, and I'd brought writing into that. And so after I left Wex, I just went in that direction, focused more on the filmmaking side of things. So what I've gone on to do is I've opened my own studio, Devoted Creatives, where we do photography and video. I work on a lot of commercial projects with brands, particularly products and in the alcohol sector. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things is have my own space to create.
I'm obviously Chris. I work at Holden. We're one of the distributors in the UK in cine and broadcast and AV industries. I look after the technology team there, and obviously I worked alongside Ben, with Matt, with Amy, with Tiffany, Stapes, and a few other folk that you'll see anyway. But yeah, I think we've all crossed paths at one way or another in our time.
So I came on at Wex. I think I first started, being hired day by day in like 2016 or so quite a long time ago. And for a long time, really for most of the time, I was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Like, you wouldn't have seen my face very much, but if you read a blog, if you read, our socials, if you read the description of a YouTube video, then you would have read something I'd written at some point. So these days, I love to keep things varied. I interview photographers, I get to go review exhibitions, stuff like that. Sometimes write sort of long form essays about photo books, stuff like that. It's just really nice to just always be doing something different. And I do my own shooting as well, which has been a huge development. When I started at Wex, I was brought on to edit grammar and to check the spelling. I didn't know which end of a camera to hold.
So the reason I actually was interested in the role in the first place is actually just because of the freedom they gave you. It's a role that isn't like many others, and it's so perfect for sort of creatives that want to learn, that want to progress their careers, because it wasn't like we'd get given a product and we'd have a load of people telling us what to do. We had a lot of freedom in terms of where we went and what we did with it, and that's something that's really exciting as a creative, to have a lot of freedom. And then of course that extra side of the travel is just like a massive perk of the job, just because who doesn't want to travel for work? In terms of what I'm up to these days, I left Wex sort of the better part of a year ago to basically start my own business and go freelance as a filmmaker, and it's been amazing.
I'm James, I'm the current digital content producer at Wex Photo Video. I've been doing it since June 2022. But through lockdown, I started my own YouTube channel before I even joined Wex, called Photo Fever, which was all about photography, Lightroom, and also photography-based tutorials. And that's kind of where I ended up almost merging the two, working at Wex, but also having my own kind of side hustle.
It's been nearly a year now since I actually left Wex Photo Video, and you know, a lot has happened since then career-wise for me, which has been really good. But you know, looking back, I remember the kind of content we were making during the lockdown period. You know, we couldn't go out that much, so we had to get really creative within the household. I remember making a green screen tutorial, which, you know, probably not the best green screen tutorial on the internet, but it was definitely very fun for me to make, especially because of the, you know, there was like a pigeon shot I did where I was like riding on the back of a pigeon with a sword and a helmet. And that for me is like one of those peak moments for me during my time at Wex, where I really felt I made something just, well, I think it was funny.
I had a lot of favorite bits at Wex. There's like way too many to recall, but one in particular that I loved is I did an outdoor, like a bag review. I think it was a bag roundup maybe with Ben.
Yeah.
And because we were outdoors, I wanted to make it very outdoorsy, and I was like, can we put an axe in the shoulder of the bag? And like he did like a whole 360 of me kind of looking into the distance with this axe in my backpack. I remember on the comments on YouTube, loads of people were like, oh my God, this guy's so creepy. He gives me the chills. This guy's really creepy. I was like, this is cool, good engagement.
After you left, they were just like, what happened to the axe guy?
I mean,
Bring back the axe guy.
I don't mind being known as the axe guy. I thought it was quite fun.
I think I had a lot of really good times at Wex. You know, I was really fortunate that I got to travel a decent bit. I got to just play around with all sorts of different kit, and you know, sort of, we were given quite a lot of free reign, which was really nice. So I got to sort of put my own sort of style and personality into the videos, which I really enjoyed. I'd say some sort of like the key moments that jump out to me. Probably, I mean, I think one of the funniest moments was, I remember I went with Amy and Ellie Rothney to go shoot with the 1DX Mark III. That was really cool. We got to travel to Wales and we went around and we filmed all sorts of different birds, and you know, they shot them with the cameras. But there was a moment where I was like getting some B-roll of the product itself, just like some product shots to chuck in the video. And I basically didn't attach the tripod head correctly and dropped the camera off the tripod, and it was so funny, and like I'm so glad that I was rolling for it, because it made for, you know, as much as I apologize to Canon, because it was like, I think it was like one of the only copies of the camera in the world at the time, and it was yet to be released, but it made for a really, really funny B-roll shot, so that's nice.
Working with the guys at Wex and like being on the content team, you know, everything from kind of kicking off Wex Mondays really with Matt G, all the way through to kind of, you know, getting those first bigger trips that we were able to do with various cameras, you know, with kind of kicking that off with Matt Higgs. So those things were a lot of fun. They were really enjoyable to do. They were hard work. You know, you were up at the crack of dawn to get sunrise, and you're kind of staying out filming or photographing all day to kind of capture as much as you possibly could until basically sunset and even later. But I mean, my highlight, Chris, has got to be Slovenia of you. Just, you know, I think that was this week, or this, like the week before Christmas, about 6 years ago, I think it was. And it was just such a good trip. There was like, you know, it was cold, it was snowy. We got to do some really cool stuff. I got to see a place that I absolutely fell in love with, and is, you know, out of all the places I've been to, it's one place that I just am happy to go back to again and again. I have been back a couple of times since then. I just really loved the country, loved like the experience. It was a lot of fun. The sledding bit was particularly amusing. It was good. Yeah, it was good fun, and you know, what a kind of camera to take out there with us as well, which is the GH5S. Kind of comparing that to the GH5. It was a good, really good shoot.
For me, like a moment that I hold quite dearly to myself is the Slovenia trip. Not just because we had a great time, Ben, which we did, but that was the first sort of big camera launch that we worked on together. And we'd done a couple of projects before then, but we'd never spent that much time sort of one-on-one and just making this content. I think we walked away with a really cool life experience because we saw an amazing new place, we made some nice content, and also I think we walked away from that having like this bond that we kind of never had before going into it. And I know, you know, every sort of anniversary that video gets to, you end up, you often WhatsApp me to say, you know, it's 4 years since this, 5 years since this. So for me, yeah, I really do hold that quite close to my heart.
Yeah, well, I've only been around 6 months, so I think my favourite time, I suppose, would have been the very first kind of video that I was in, and it was going to Goodwood Festival of Speed. We were taking the new Fujifilm X-H2S. Again, a stack sensor, great camera, and it was really good fun. I'm quite a motorsport fan, so I've always wanted to go to Goodwood, but never kind of had the time or kind of the money, because it's quite expensive. So Fujifilm took us, me and Amy, and we did a video on their new X-H2S as well as a new 150-600mm, and it was perfect.
But I think my favourite moment comes a little bit later. It was after I wasn't like an employee for Wex anymore, but I was still working there, and it was actually when I hosted a video. We did, Tiffany suggested it to me, and I'd only ever been writing and editing, and when she was like, you know, oh, we want to do a video with you, I was like, what are you talking about? That's madness. But, you know, she was very persuasive, and we did it, and we went to the Barbican, and we just did, like, I'm not the world's most amazing photographer or anything, but that's kind of what it was about. It was about just taking photos for fun, and it was really nice, and it was just, you know, I felt like it had kind of unlocked something, you know.
Outside
like,
of your comfort zone.
Exactly, yeah, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do this,
Yeah.
and that was genuinely, I was grateful for it, I really was.
Awesome.
I think the one that I would bring up was probably the sledging stuff.
Yeah.
Andorra, like going to those mountain peaks as well. Chris and Amy who went there. And I remember Amy telling me about her experience out there, that it was like treacherous. And it was almost like life-threatening, she told me at times, because of the amount of snow that was going on. They really wanted to get these specific shots. And they're like an opening shot to that as well, where Amy's like walking to camera and Chris has got his gimbal and he's like doing a bit of tracking backwards. And Amy was telling me that it was just so slippery that they had to be very careful, but they just really had to get that shot because the light was in the right place as well. And that shot, that tracking shot that opened that video, absolutely set the scene for that entire like thing. And yeah, it's that sort of stuff that I think just really makes the content channel just really stand out.
But yeah, the travel was a big plus for me as well, you know, like being able to see some of the places that people gone. Like I remember, you know, Chris went to India and he made this like really cool series of videos, and it was like, you know, it's a part of the world that interests me a lot, and it's, you know, it's so much like, it kind of speaks for the kind of what the content team want to be producing, that they're not just going to like simple locations, they're going to amazing parts of the world and they're showing it for what it really is, and I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, it's just another moment with Chris. Just Chris's trip to India, the kind of mini series that they put together.
Yes.
With Matt Parry, just an amazing like series. Just the kind of travel, the experiences.
A proper adventure.
Yeah, it was something I would have loved to have done that. That'd have been an amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
But just even watching it back, like, you know, I've watched it recently and it's just still love how it was shot. I love the content in it. And it's just like, there's meaningful content in there as well. Just,
yeah,
you know,
there's like real life experience as well as just, you know, testing out the equipment in a funky place.
Yeah.
Yeah, funky part of the world.
One of my favourite moments from other people was from our friend Chris Hampton. It's when he did a video with the photographer Matt Parry. He's a travel photographer. He's really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he works for Ilford now. I think he did then too. But yeah, he was. So they went to a few places. But I remember there was one they went to. I think it was Dubrovnik in Croatia, and there were loads of really nice shots. But there was one moment in particular, and I'm like hyper focusing here. But there was a moment where Matt Parry was taking a photo through a sort of wrought iron fence, and there was a little dog behind. And the fence had these like circles, these sort of circles in the metal. And you just saw Chris just move the camera so that the dog's face was perfectly dead on in the center of the frame. I was like, oh, that's good. That's one of the most important shots in the history of filmmaking, I think.
So.
Yeah, I think it's like the Goodfellas
1 and 2?
Yeah, and then that. And then, I don't know, some other stuff.
I think it's had a massive role to play in the way that I approach work, my general career, and how I sort of get on with my direct team, really. I think Wex, the freedom of content at Wex can be two things. One, it can be really liberating because you've kind of got freedom to do what you want, and at the same time it can be really overwhelming because you've got freedom to do what you want. So, you know, it's yeah, you know, so, you know, you've got it from both sides. And I think when you're in the flow of constantly keeping up to date with new tech and managing camera launches and releases, you know, it's quite a lot of pressure. And I think when you're balancing that sort of act over a period of time, it kind of hardens you, and I don't know, I think that you cope with pressure and dealing with different people and changing locations and, you know, moving around a lot, way easier.
And from there, like, all the experience I got from WEX actually like propelled me into where I am now in my career as a freelancer, you know, working for clients like ITV, working for the BBC on an odd job, and working for another YouTuber called Ali Abdal, who is a productivity YouTuber, working at somewhere like WEX, where you're part of so many different parts of the industry as a, you know, a specialist, an expert, that sort of thing. Like, without that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today.
As I'm sure a lot of people watching this know, the bug just gets you. And I picked up film photography and a bit of digital photography, and I do it all the time now. And it's not like, I'm not trying to make a career out of it, but I love doing it. I do it for myself. I do it a lot. I spend far too much money on film development, and but I love it, and I'm always going to do it.
It taught me a lot, and now I'm in a position where, luckily, I still, you know, do a fair bit of work for WEX, which is really nice because I like working for the brand. But it gives me freedom to work for other brands too. Like, and now I have a bit more freedom. I have a bit more free time to basically start making my passion projects, because ultimately that's where I want to be taking me, and that's where I want to be working full time. So hopefully I'll do some cool stuff in the future. My dream has always been to be a full-time documentary filmmaker, and I feel like I'm on that path. So, you know, we'll see. Hopefully I'll get there.
I love giving people the most knowledge possible, and it's nothing, I don't like holding anything back. And once I've learnt something, I love teaching others, and I think that's kind of where it falls for me, really, and that's where I end up loving it. I do weddings, I've done kind of small, short films and things like that, and you know, having a camera in hand is something that I absolutely love.
I guess having access to all the kit that I had at WEX really opened me up to knowing what kind of stuff I'd want in my own space. So really appreciated my time there. And thank you, Matt, for taking me on.
You know, it's been a really good journey from WEX, and I still love keeping in contact with all the kind of existing and kind of content team who I worked with and who are at the business now. And it's just a joy to see kind of the content they're pushing out, you know, each week, and, you know, all the camera reviews and their experiences and travel and stuff. It's been really good to have been a part of setting that up in the initial stages to kind of see where it is now.